Um, I think first of all, I'll have to apologise for keeping you all waiting. I better not blame the Minister, that's not very advisable. I better not blame the media, that's not advisable either, so I just apologise that we're running a bit late. I had a bit of a speech that Sean had prepared for me. Because I've kept you waiting, the first good news is I'm going to bin that just to make up time. There's only three things I wanted to do. The first thing was to thank a number of people. Shane had listed over 15 individuals or organisations for us to thank for your contribution. And I'm just going to do that collectively. And trust you'll accept that what we have achieved is down to the people in this room. And if we're going to achieve the targets going forward, again, we need the same group of people to step up to the plate. The second thing I was going to comment on is why we are optimistic. I breezed in this morning, someone said, how? I said, wonderful, and they thought, oh, that sounds good. So why are we optimistic, and why do we believe we can really deliver very impressive results over the next 3 years? Well, part of it is based on the success of the last 2 years. And rather than go through the detail of what has been achieved and what we're going to seek to achieve over the next 3 years, I'm going to leave that to Niall, and he'll give you it in full technicolor, and you'll get that in a few moments. And the third thing I was going to do this morning was just to thank the Minister for her support and leadership within the sector, to welcome her here this morning and invite Minister Foster to address us, and that's what I'll do.
Well, thank you very much, and I am sorry we're a bit late getting started. My diary is completely mental at the minute, as it always is, but I do want to welcome everyone to the event. Of course, our industry partners and our staff from Till, from overseas. It's good to have you here in Northern Ireland in this nice crisp morning. And I am excited and encouraged by everything that is happening within tourism in Northern Ireland. And when I came into this job over 5 years ago, there was a complaint that there really wasn't much to see and do here. Of course, we knew that wasn't the case. But since then, government and indeed the industry itself have really invested in the sector and in the product. And whether that's Titanic Belfast, of course, the fabulous signature building that has given us 1.3 million visitors since the 31st of March last year. I love saying that, 1.3 million visitors since March of last year. Of course, we since then have added SS Nomadic. We now have cruise ships coming to Belfast more frequently, and very much look forward to our new cruise terminal, which will allow people direct access to Titanic Quarter. Our beautiful Giant's Causeway Visitor Centre that we invested in, all of the built heritage that we've invested in right across Northern Ireland, but most particularly up in Londonderry, which is now lit up with our lighting strategy in a very beautiful way. Our new hotels, our improved restaurants, our better offering in relation to golf, and thank you, Rory, for winning again. It brings the spotlight onto us again. And of course, our new cycle tracks and the outdoor experiences that we've been pushing very hard. We, of course, not only have the product, but we now have really invested in our events as well. And last year, of course, NI 2012, with our whole range of events that happened. What a wonderful year that was. And then this year, with the World Police and Fire Games, the G8, of course, in a little place close to my heart, and the UK City of Culture, and Lumiere, the most recent event. 180,000 people up in Londonderry. I thought that was a tremendous figure as well to look at. And the Turner Prize, and I watched it on Monday evening. It was tremendous to see. So we've much to be proud of. We are on a journey, and I know that's what we're going to talk about today, the journey. Of course, we cannot be complacent about the achievements that we have had over this past number of years. There's still much, much more to do. And next year we have another big year with the Clipper race again coming in, and of course the pink, the Grand Potenza of the Giro d'Italia coming to Northern Ireland. We should all be excited about that, because last year it was beamed into 165 countries right across the world. What a huge opportunity for us to show off Northern Ireland at its best. But it is vital that we continue to work together to do better. Obviously, I will be pushing the Northern Ireland Tourist Board and Tourism Ireland to do more for me and indeed to work in an integrated fashion. I know that they have worked more closely with Invest Northern Ireland, for example, as they have done in the past, and I think that has been a good partnership. We've been able to sell Northern Ireland PLC as a good place not only to visit, but to come and work in and to invest in and to stay in. And I do want to commend the work of Till in promoting Northern Ireland and to give it stand out, particularly in Great Britain and also right across the globe. So I think there's more to do. For example, when we're carrying out the greening on St. Patrick's Day on the 17th of March in different places right across the world, I do want to see a campaign to promote the authentic home of St. Patrick. And sometimes I get challenged from people in that area about why we aren't doing more to talk about St. Patrick. We need to market Downpatrick, to market Slemish, and of course the beautiful city of Armagh, which had a tremendously successful Georgian Day recently. And again, that's using our built heritage to sell the worth of a particular place. Of course, golf, as I've said, will continue to be a focus for us, and I want to see our home courses being looked at and to really promoted. And of course, as I look at the tourism plans in the Republic of Ireland and the Wild Atlantic Way, which has recently been launched, of course, the coast doesn't stop in Donegal, as we all know. We want to see it coming on round into Londonderry, the Giant's Causeway, Glens of Antrim, and of course the Game of Thrones home, as we're now calling it, because the Game of Thrones really has become a huge marketing tool for us in countries right across the world because it's such a popular series. Tour operators, and I'm sure Niall will talk about this, will be a critical part of our expansion plans, and we want to see 25% rise there in the use of tour operators. And of course, my lovely topic of the moment, direct access. We need more direct access into Northern Ireland. We will of course continue to bring people from London and Dublin and indeed other airports, but we would need to have more direct access into Northern Ireland. So we need to challenge ourselves. I need to challenge myself, Tourism Ireland, the industry. We all need to work together to make sure that we do our bit for Northern Ireland. We do have a dedicated team from Tourism Ireland from right across the world here today, and I hope that the industry will use them when they're here today. I hope they're going to challenge them to promote your accommodation, your attraction, or use your service, and then they will talk to you about what they can do in relation to your product. So thank you for coming along today. I hope we can help you to market your destination. I hope that we have an even stronger message when I talk to you again. We always look for new product, but sometimes the product's already there and we just aren't looking at it in the way that we should be looking at it. And what a good example C.S. Lewis is in relation to that story. And that great literary star of ours is deceased now 50 years, but it's only now that we're starting to really use his worth and actually see him as the international person that he is. And I was pleased to see the first C.S. Lewis event take place in Belfast very recently. So thank you, Chair, and thank you, Niall, for all the work that you do for the industry and for me. We are on a journey, and I hope that we'll get to a destination that pleases us all. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Minister, and I appreciate you have a really busy schedule. The Minister can't be with us for this part of it, but I really do appreciate all the support that you've given us through the course of 2013, and we look forward to working with you and your officials through the course of 2014 and beyond. And I want to compliment Alan Clark and his colleagues in the Northern Ireland Tourist Board as well, who have done a lot of great work through the course of the last number of years, and this year indeed. And it has been a great year when you look at what's happening. And I should say before I start, by the way, if there are any mad tweeters like me out there in the audience, it's hashtag TI 2014, okay? Hashtag TI 2014. But just looking at 2013, first of all, to talk about the year that's been, Londonderry City of Culture has been fantastic, and it just seems to have gone from strength to strength. And the pictures that we saw over the weekend from Lumiere were just absolutely and utterly outstanding. I just saw the front page of the Irish Times on Saturday, and I thought it was terrific. And seeing what's happening on the Turner Prize, did I ever think 10 years ago that I'd see that coming to Derry, Londonderry? No, but I mean, there you are, isn't it? Just game-changing. Neither did I think 10 years ago that we'd see the G8 Summit and the 8 leaders standing in Fermanagh either. And I think the legacy issues coming out are just fantastic. The publicity that we've been able to identify so far is £14.4 million of estimated advertising value. In other words, if you bought the positive advertising space that got us, it's at least £14.5 million, and a great story as well to tell. I was delighted to be here around the time of the World Police and Fire Games as well. And it was just fantastic to see so many young kids and families from destinations that probably would never have thought about coming here, being around Belfast. And it just brought life and energy and just a whole different sort of sense of culture around the streets of Belfast. And I thought it was well done to everybody involved in that. And Titanic as well, never forget, the further I travel in this job, the more I realise how big an icon this is. A lot of people don't realise it was built in Belfast, so we have a big job to do. But the numbers speak for themselves. The Minister's talked about 1.3 million people visiting Titanic since it opened. And out of those 1.3 million, 44% of them have come from GB or other overseas markets. And what's encouraging, 27% of them are coming from markets other than GB. So those are people that tend to come, stay longer and spend more. And it's a great opportunity for us to work with Belfast, with Titanic, as a major hook in faraway markets. So our collective success, well, numbers so far this year are in for the first half of the year, and they're all positive and heading in the right direction. And what I've put together is just a very short video of just some of the things that we've been doing overseas, because you may not get a chance to see it here. A little video will give you highlights of 2013.
Hello, this is your City of Culture News on Ireland.com. I'm Jane Beach. This year's flag show in Derry has been the largest ever, with more than 500,000 people joining in the celebrations. The world's most prestigious contemporary art award is coming to Derry. Edmonton is hosting the Turner Prize between the 23rd of October and the 5th of January.
The prize exhibition will be on show in Derry/Londonderry as part of the UK City of Culture celebrations.
The countdown is on for one of the most anticipated events of the year. The City of Derry Jazz and Big Band Festival kicks off on Thursday the 2nd of May.
We know that Graham McDowell is from Royal Portrush, that Darren Clark is a resident there as well. So you have the cachet of having major champions who still, to some degree, Graham not as much as Darren, call it home.
across the world descend on the town of Enniskillen ahead of the G8 summit.
In the heart of the Fermanagh Lakeland, they're preparing to welcome presidents and prime ministers.
So a very short sample of a lot of things that are going on overseas to promote Northern Ireland. And as we move forward, really the question that we're asking now, are we ready for the journey? And the next part of the journey is the period 2014 to 2016, where we're setting out a very ambitious stall of increasing promotable revenue by 36%. That's a very big number. What it means in terms of overall numbers is we're looking to drive an additional 400,000 people coming here to a total number of 2.1 million. But what's more important, the promotable revenue of those people who are coming here on their holidays by 36%, and that's a big ask. However, there are a lot of things that are going our way. So in terms of getting there, there is a journey. And it starts off with who we're talking to. We're very clear in relation to what markets we operate in. We're in 22 markets overseas. Obviously, the most important one of those being Great Britain, but markets like the United States, Canada, France, Germany, and all the way further afield to the BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, all very important. And we're very clear on who we're talking to. Our markets are here this afternoon, today, to talk to you about the culturally curious, the social energizers, and the great escapers. And it's very important that you're aware, in terms of your own business, what market that you're in and what audience that you're talking to. And our markets will be able to help you with that later on. For us, we know what the messages are that we're dialing up or dialing down in the various markets. And I'll give you two practical examples. The first one is one we did with Noel McNeil in County Fermanagh. It talks about food and the destination. And this is an online clip. It's only 20 seconds of what's a 3-minute piece, so it doesn't do it full justice. But it talks to a culturally curious audience, and I think you'll get the message.
Fermanagh is the gateway to the northwest of Ireland. When the rain happens, obviously it's just like velvet drops, but it nourishes such a green, beautiful landscape. Fermanagh is a hidden gem. It just hasn't been discovered yet.
So again, a 20-second clip of what's already a 3-minute piece on food, Fermanagh, that's out there in the online space at the moment. The second piece is in GB, and this one relates to the social energizers, so you'll find the pace picks up a bit. It talks about Belfast.
Belfast. You can sleep on your way home.
So a piece produced for video on demand, talking to the social energizer audience. The digital space is really important for us. Last year we started our new website, Ireland.com, and it's had a great year. 13 million web visits, an increase of 21% in the number of page views. You're seeing some of the screen grabs from it there at the moment. And what's more important, that with mobile devices becoming much more and more prevalent, 22% of people accessing this site this year are coming in from mobile devices. And relating back to my segmentation point earlier on, I pointed out 3 different segments. It's allowed us to target people, in relation to sending emails out with specific messages to specific audiences. And during the course of 2013, we sent out 60 million emails, and that's the sort of number we'll be replicating through the course of the next 3 years as well. That digital platform is underpinned by our position in social media. Last year we had 1.2 million fans on Facebook. We now have 1.9 million. We're the second largest tourism agency in the world. All those people have an average of 200 friends each, which gives us a social media reach on Facebook of 380 million people, and we're looking to double that to 750 million over the next 3 years. Twitter not as big, but still 103,000 followers makes us the number 3 tourism agency in the world, and our Tourism Ireland YouTube account is the number 1 watched tourism agency YouTube account in the world with 10 million views. So you'll need to ask yourself from your own enterprise's perspective, am I in this space? And our markets will be able to help you with that. It's an area that changes very quickly, very rapidly, and we're already looking at Pinterest and Instagram, which are coming quickly down the track. In markets like China, we're already on Tencent and Sina Weibo, which are the Facebook and Twitter equivalent over there. We have about 350,000 visitors. I expect that will grow fairly rapidly over the next number of years as well. And I was very heartened to see the digital tourism think tank voting Ireland the number 1 destination in digital marketing across 45 other NTOs in Europe. Publicity is incredibly important. I did a few media interviews before I came down here, and the one thing I was asked about is about the image of Northern Ireland. And it's something that we do track over the years, and that setbacks do occur. But I'm a very positive person. I believe we just have to get out there and work harder at it. And positive publicity is absolutely and utterly vital. No matter what setback we might get, we just have to go out and work harder at it. And I'm just going to again show you an example of some of the work that's been done in GB particularly. And this will be going on through 2014 to 2016 as well. But it's just a sample, and you'll see some of the big numbers in the top corner.
But as the Queen enjoyed her picnic in the sunshine, she must have noticed that temple-like building over there, perched high on the cliff.
The rugged coast of Northern Ireland and the majestic Giant's Causeway is famous the world over. These are the biggest Irish rock stars. Whether you believe it was created by aliens, giants, or simple geology, the Giant's Causeway really is a truly magical place.
Prize exhibition will be on show in Derry/Londonderry as part of the UK City of Culture celebrations.
It's the biggest festival of Irish music and culture anywhere in the world, and for the first time in its 60-year history, the Flower is being held in Northern Ireland.
As you can see, the bands are already out on the streets and they're practicing.
The Giro d'Italia will start next year in Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland. The route was announced yesterday in Milan. The race, one of the three major Grand Tours along with the Tour de France and the Vuelta a España, will begin with a team time trial in Belfast next May.
In Northern Ireland swings into action today as leaders from across the world descend on the town of Enniskillen ahead of the G8 summit.
Over the next few days, it will play host to the likes of President Obama, President Putin, and the Prime Minister David Cameron. Our Northern Ireland correspondent Chris Buckler has been to see how the last-minute preparations are going.
In the heart of the Fermanagh Lakeland, they're preparing to welcome presidents and prime ministers.
Don't forget tomorrow morning that the XFM Breakfast Show with John Holmes will be broadcasting live from Belfast.
Now here's Front Row with Mark Lawson.
Derry-Londonderry is the official designation reflecting its divided history of the place that for 10 months now, and another 2 to come, holds the title of UK City of Culture.
Belfast, Northern Ireland. We are at one of its must-see attractions here in the iconic Titanic Visitor Centre in Belfast.
So just a taster of some of the things that are going predominantly in GB, all positive publicity, pushing out a very strong positive message that gets into the mindset of the consumer. In terms of the value of all that, if you're able to buy it, well, it will cost us, I think, somewhere in the region of about £73 million. So it's very significant. You wouldn't have the money to buy that. And it gets out to big, big numbers. You saw some of them all 7-figure sums. Working with Invest Northern Ireland, the Minister mentioned this, particularly in 2013, and will continue to do this over the 2014 to 16 period, taking good, broad-range stories, not just on the tourism agenda, but, for example, working with Invest Northern Ireland, the tech startup story here in Northern Ireland, the story of film, the story of food, and it gives us something to talk about in terms of the destination, and just some examples that went into the Telegraph through the course of 2013, and will continue to do that over 2014 to 16. The Minister talked about Game of Thrones, and we're in dialogue with the Tourist Board here and Northern Ireland Screen. Series number 4 starts in April next year, and this is really another global story that's going to resonate very positively around the world as well, and we'll be making the most of that. The Minister also touched on golf. We also have some of the great golf courses. I mean, consistently Royal Portrush and Royal County Down will be voted in the top 10 golf courses in the world in magazines like Golf Weekly in the States. We also have some of the best players. Great to see Rory win again. And here's a clip on the Golf Channel in the United States that appeared recently that had 14 million views.
Northern Ireland, home of champions, where Graeme McDowell, Rory McIlroy and Darren Clarke perfect their game, where you can challenge yours on the links of Royal County Down and Royal Portrush, where you can share stories of triumph at the 19th hole, where you can explore beauty, culture, and history. Northern Ireland. Time to play. Discover more at ireland.com/Northern Ireland.
So again, resonates very strongly with the American audience. The Minister mentioned Giro already. I was out with her in Milan at the launch of the Grande Partenza. And I mean, over 100 million households, but a potential TV audience of 770 million people. And those are significant, sort of game-changing numbers. The race is second only to the Tour de France. And I think it provides a great opportunity. I have a short video clip just explaining where it's going to be. So again, a long video, but just a nice, great visuals, and I think it'll be really stunning in terms of the imagery that'll be projected around the world in May. Events are critical. I just mentioned the Giro. I mean, the Minister mentioned the Clipper as well, which is great. Events like the Happy Days Beckett Festival in Fermanagh as well, talks to a really strong, culturally curious audience. Good spenders tend to stay a long time. And all these are going to be critical in terms of sending out that message, must go now, no excuses. And I talked about that in the context of segmentation and brand earlier on. The Minister mentioned the Wild Atlantic Way. For those who may not be aware, in Dublin on Monday when we did our marketing plans launch there, our colleagues in Fáilte, Ireland are working on a new product, which is the Wild Atlantic Way, which is a coastal route, driving route all the way from Kinsale in County Cork, which goes all the way up to Donegal and links in with Derry, Londonderry. I think it provides great opportunities in the car touring market, in markets like Great Britain, markets like France, like Germany, fly drive market in North America, and I think it's a great opportunity for the Causeway coastal route to stand out as well. And I know the two routes are going to be signposting each other, and it's going to be really good for car touring in 2014 and beyond. The Minister touched on global greening. For those who may not be aware, I mean, the last number of years we've asked global icons around the world to light up green for St. Patrick's Day. It may sound a little bit gimmicky, but the pyramids of Egypt, the statue of Christ the Redeemer in Brazil, on top of the London Eye, and many others around the world light green for St. Patrick's Day. The value for us is in the publicity that gets us. And we've got the breakthrough last year, for example, on all major GB publications like the Times, Telegraph, the Observer, the Mail, the Express, all carry these pictures on the front page of their website at no cost to us. It's money that we couldn't buy. 10 million, I estimate. I know it's much more than that. For example, in North America, here is a clip that appeared on St. Patrick's Day, coast to coast on NBC.
And here is something you might find surprising: the reach of St. Patrick's Day around the world. Although these images almost look photoshopped, the landmarks were transformed with green lighting in honor of the day. The Sydney Opera House in Australia was glowing. Both the Christ Redeemer statue in Rio and the Leaning Tower of Pisa shine brightly. And South Africa had a halo of green casting down Table Mountain.
So that's just a short clip of what was a 30-second piece. If we were to buy a 30-second ad on NBC television coast to coast that evening, it would have cost us $2.2 million. It cost us nothing. And that's the value of PR. And I think from a St. Patrick's Day perspective here in Northern Ireland, there is a Christian heritage story, there's St. Patrick's Trail, I mean, there's a home of St. Patrick. I think there are opportunities that are there to be exploited as well, and we'll be very happy to talk to you about those. I don't know if Gráinne McVeigh is here, but did a great job in bringing Northern Irish connections to life. This is the capacity to tap into the diaspora. There are lots of people around the world that claim Northern Irish extraction, and we were out on the hustings this year with the Minister, and we'll continue to support Northern Ireland connections through the next 3 years. It's a great example of soft power in action. There are a lot of people around the globe who are only willing to help, and we need to be talking to them more. I talked about leisure tourism mainly. Business tourism extension to the Waterfront Hall provides a great opportunity for us. We'll continue to work with the guys in Visit Belfast and Derry Visitor Convention Bureau particularly. This year alone, we provided £4.3 million worth of leads. Long lead-in time for a lot of this business. We'll capitalise on our position as being the third best destination in GB for business tourism and hopefully deliver additional business in years to come. I think a business tourism visitor spends about 3 or 4 times more than a leisure tourist, so very, very important. There are a few building blocks that are absolutely essential. The Minister touched on air access capacity. I mean, we already have fairly good sea access capacity in here, and that is important. But we have lost air access capacity to Northern Ireland and the island of Ireland over the last number of years. And just by way of example, I put a chart together indexing back to one of the peak years in 2008 for the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland. And you can see what's happened when the global recession hit. A lot of routes got pulled in both jurisdictions, and the Republic of Ireland has started to pull up again. We've seen significant air access increases in from the United States, from Canada, from mainland Europe, and also from Great Britain. And in Northern Ireland, we need to see that graph turn. There is a direct correlation between direct air access and visitor numbers, and that's something that we're committed to working with the airports on in making any cases that needs be. And any routes that come in, we'll obviously be very keen to market those. In the absence of direct air access from markets like, for example, Canada and Germany, we need to work much more closely with tour operators. And we want to see a significant increase in Northern Ireland inventory in those tour operator brochures. Next year is great because what's happening is that the Meet the Buyer event is coming to Belfast first before it goes on to Dublin. So that's a great platform to try and get more people in that wouldn't have experienced the destination, or maybe they wouldn't necessarily have travelled up from Dublin to Belfast because they're just busy people. But there are 350 operators normally come to Dublin. I think it's about 150 to Belfast, so there is an opportunity to get a step change there. And all the ongoing work that you do in terms of trade visits, familiarisations, workshops, we probably need to continue that and actually ramp it up as well. We need to get people talking about Northern Ireland as a destination. The last, but by no means least, is the issue of visas. To come onto this island from long-haul market, you need 2 visas, right? It's mad. However, for example, there are 17 flights coming in from Etihad and Emirates Airlines into Dublin every week, and that's expanding all the time. The 14% increase in air access capacity from the Middle East coming into Dublin this winter alone. Those people will mainly be on Irish visas. If they're not on a UK visa, they can't come here. So we have been working very closely with the UK and Irish visa authorities. We do hope to see a groundbreaking move in relation to a common travel area visa piloted in the Chinese market starting next summer. That hasn't been announced yet, but we've worked very closely on it. And I think that will really give a breakthrough. So for example, companies like Emirates Holidays that will come to see me in Dublin, who only feature luxury product in their brochures, don't have anything from Northern Ireland at the moment, but that will change when the visa situation changes. And speaking of China, this is just some television footage from our recent sales mission to China, which happened last month. We had a record number of 20 companies from around the island of Ireland. We had 7,000 engagements with 450 Chinese tour operators. Some of them have programmed the island before, some haven't. We had the Irish and UK visa offices with us. We had Emirates, we had Etihad, British Airways and Virgin. So we had the access story, the visa story, the marketing story. And if we are to convert visitor numbers here, it's going to require a lot of effort and it's going to require boots on the ground. Out of the 20 companies from the islands, there were 3 from Northern Ireland. And we need to significantly increase the profile of Northern Ireland in this particular market. Titanic was a major hook. I mean, that was one thing that people got. A lot of them have never even heard of Ireland before, by the way. I mean, that's how blank the canvas is in this market. And I'm just making this point, not just in relation to China, but other markets alone. In the last month alone, I was in World Travel Market last month. We had 70 companies on the stand. There were 7 from Northern Ireland. We had a trade mission out to the west coast of the United States. We had 12 companies from the island of Ireland. There was 1 from Northern Ireland. And I know in South Africa recently there were about 14 companies. I think it was about 2 from Northern Ireland. If Northern Ireland is serious about increasing its share of business on this island, it is going to have to significantly ramp up its presence in overseas markets, particularly those ones that are further afield. So 2014, in summary, is really about focusing investment on where we're going to get the best return. I mean, the biggest market for Northern Ireland is Great Britain. If you want to increase your footprint in other markets, I think it's really important because they are longer staying, they tend to spend more and stay in paid service accommodation, rent cars, etc. So markets like mainland Europe, North America are going to be increasingly important as we move forward. We're very clear about who we're talking to. That segmentation work that we've done in the United States, Britain, France, Germany has had the cooperation of the Tourist Board, of Fáilte Ireland and the industry, and it's important that you talk to our markets afterwards so you're very clear about what markets are you operating in and who are you talking to. very clear about what experiences are you dialing up, very clear about the events and what role that they play, and underpinning all that then, the very strong position that we have in digital marketing. We're one of the 4 most tourist boards in the world out there in that space, and it's something that you need to find out how you capitalise on that. So in terms of collaboration, I mean, none of this can happen. This is not a Tourism Ireland plan. This is your plan. And I want to thank everybody that's been involved in it. Airlines, airports, hotels, food. I mean, there's a whole range of people that have helped us through the course of 2013 in putting the preparation and ambitious targets together. And it will not work unless we have all shoulders to the wheel. I think we have a great story to tell, and the more collaboration that there is, the better. So where will our journey take us? Well, just to put the big numbers in perspective, what we're saying is that by 2016, we're looking to increase promotable visitors, in other words, people who are coming here on their holidays, by 27%, a major ask. We haven't put those sort of figures out before, which will give us a total number of visitors of 2.1 million. But more importantly, by focusing the investment in those markets that will bring people for longer and stay longer and spend more, we could see promotable revenue increasing by 36%. These are everybody's targets. They're not just Tourism Ireland ones. And we're in the business of being very positive. We have a great team out there in the international marketplace. And we just got this piece in yesterday. It's part of a 50-minute film that's being produced at the moment. And it's part of a G8 legacy piece. And I think it'll warm your heart.
Now, it's not very often in this life that you can honestly say that you've just visited one of the most tranquil and naturally beautiful places on the planet. But when you visit County Fermanagh, you can say that. You really can say that. If there's one commodity that County Fermanagh is not short of, it's water. And if there's one characteristic that the Northern Irish people are famed for, it's the ability to provide a really good time. Fermanagh has more than its share of historic landmarks, Enniskillen and Belle-Isle castles, and National Trust treasure houses such as Florence Court and Castle Cool. Then set in rolling parkland amidst hundreds of wooded islands in tranquil Upper Lough Erne is Crom Estate.
And you wake up and there's the smell of the peat fire, and you're right by the lake, and there's a mist coming in, and there's deer wandering through. It's magical. It's completely magical.
And it's also, you know, it's to a certain degree undiscovered, you know, and it's got its own charm. It really is a lovely place. I always knew I'd be in the castle and I'd be in Fermanagh, and that was something that was a draw in itself.
One of the most naturally beautiful places on this planet awaits you with open arms, the friendliest people who will leave you with a smile on your face, and 1,000 memories that will bring you back time and time again to this natural paradise.
Not great, wasn't it? Warmed my heart this morning. So look, that's sort of a 2-minute clip of what's going to be a 50-minute film produced as part of a G8 legacy piece that will be available next year in most of our main markets. Wrapping up, I just want to say thank you very much for all the support that you've given us through the course of 2013. We're very excited about what's coming down the track. We think we've got a great story to tell. All our market colleagues are here. Please make sure that you engage with them. And my colleague Shane Clark is going to come up and just tell you about the logistics of where to go next. So thanks very much indeed.